alien, according to NASA's definition of life. NASA and other space agencies currently have hundreds of satellites, multiple probes, high-powered telescopes, rovers, and even a manned space station out exploring the cosmos. Many of these tools are equipped with cameras, and some with chemistry kits, able to help us spot alien life. So far, the existence of alien life has not yet been confirmed, but aside from little green men with laser guns as depicted in sci-fi, what might aliens actually be like? If we were to find a smear of strange goo on Mars, for example, would we even be able to tell if it were alive? Biologists have been asking these types of questions not about aliens, but about unusual specimens found here on Earth for well over a century. Suppose for a moment that while exploring in a cave, you happen to discover two cotton-white puffballs apparently growing on the side of a rock. Could they be alive? Fungus perhaps, or maybe real-life tribbles? To help solve these kinds of mysteries, scientists have come up with various list definitions of life, similar to this one here. It's a series of traits that living things typically all have, but that non-living things normally lack. These lists help us ask useful questions about puzzling specimens. Question number 1, do your mystery creatures grow? Well, maybe. 2 of them were found and one is larger than the other. That said, storms, lakes, crystals, and fires can also grow, but they don't really qualify as life now, do they? Time to ask more questions. Can the puffballs reproduce? So far you haven't witnessed it happen, but there are 2 of them, so again, maybe. That said, fires can also reproduce by sending out a spark, but we don't consider fires to be alive. Time to check a third item on our list. Are the mystery specimens made of cells? Almost all living things are, except for viruses. This, by the way, is one of several reasons that viruses are not considered alive by some biologists. A thorough inspection under the microscope suggests that our specimen has no cells. They might be buried inside somewhere, but the puffballs themselves, though they are somewhat soft, appear to be made of flexible crystals rather than cells. Further testing shows that our specimens also seem to lack other traits from our list definition. Largely convinced that they are not alive, you use a cup of coffee to bribe a geologist for a free consultation. She informs you that what you have found are oakenite crystals. Your specimens are not living things. While the list definition of life is not perfect, we've already seen that it has trouble helping us categorize viruses, for example. It is fairly handy for people that study modern living creatures here on Earth. The list definition is not very useful, however, for at least 2 special groups of researchers. Exobiologists, people investigating the possibility of alien life in the cosmos, and prebiotic chemists, researchers looking into the idea that life on Earth may have naturally emerged from chemical reactions. Prebiotic meaning before life. If aliens do turn out to actually look like monsters or little green men with laser guns, they shouldn't be too hard to spot, but most life forms on Earth are microscopic and tricky to detect. What if alien life is too? Furthermore, life forms on Earth are extremely complex. This is even true for bacteria and archaea, the simplest critters that qualify as life according to our list definition. Alien life, and the first true life forms that developed on Earth, may be far simpler. But how much simpler? Without a clear and widely accepted definition of life, researchers could waste a lot of time and effort debating the significance of a new discovery. For example, back in the 50s, prebiotic chemist Sidney Fox once produced what he called proteinoid microspheres, tiny orbs that act superficially like cell membranes. When suspended in a solution full of other proteinoids, microspheres can grow and even reproduce by splitting in 2. Because they can reproduce and because they could have easily formed on the early Earth, Dr. Fox initially believed that microspheres were alive and represent what the first life forms may have been like on our planet. After years of investigation and intense debate, for reasons we'll see here shortly, researchers today no longer consider microspheres to be alive. A similar confusion arose when the Viking probes sent to Mars in 1976 discovered strange chemical reactions initially thought to be signs of microbial life. While some researchers still argue that life may have actually been found by those probes, further research told us we likely just witnessed unexpected reactions caused by the strange chemistry on Mars. To help unify our thinking and avoid both false positives and false negatives in our search for life, in 1994, NASA put together a council to discuss the essential properties of living things. The result of that meeting was the production of a single sentence. A sentence now fixed in the minds of thousands of researchers, and soon to be fixed in yours. NASA's definition of life. Life, they proposed, is any self-sustaining chemical system capable of Darwinian evolution. Let me say that one more time. Life is a self-sustaining chemical system capable of Darwinian evolution. Not all scientists use this definition. Some feel it's a little bit too constraining, but if we were to discover something native to Mars that undeniably fit this definition, it would excite celebration from even the harshest of critics. They defined life as a chemical system because all living things we know of, and most all that we can imagine, are made of diverse collections of molecules and are powered by a flowing tapestry of chemical reactions. Saying that life is self-sustaining means that within a specific environment, living things can carry on without the supervision of, say, a chemist. Creatures may require distinct molecules and energy sources from their specific environments, but as long as those are supplied, life maintains itself. Under this definition, it can be easily argued that viruses and even individual genes qualify as life forms. From this perspective, the cells that genes and viruses live inside can be thought of as their environments. The cell itself, of course, is also a self-sustaining chemical system. Here we see layers of life inside of life, a fascinating new way to think about biology. Finally, to be considered alive, a system must be capable of adapting through Darwinian evolution. This requirement, though argued against by some, is extremely important because Darwinian evolution, reproduction,